Hey everybody, this week's episode of the R&R Show is brought to you by The Fog, Escape from Paradise. And hello, how are you doing? Are you in paradise?
I am unfortunately not in paradise. I feel like I'm trapped in a constant fog of plumbing issues at my home, and
Yes.
this like cloud is following me wherever I go. It's been a rough couple of weeks, but hey, you know what? I'm in an Airbnb, folks. You can see the games are not behind me, but I do have a little stack of games to the side, so to keep me comfortable. But I am so happy to be here. I'm excited to be talking about race games. I love the mechanism, and I love how you introduced the fog. That sounds sort of. You should be doing this for like movie trailers, I think.
Thank you. The new trailer voice of a generation. That's me.
Yes.
But
yes.
Speaking of the fog, let me go on ahead and tell you a little bit more about it, folks, because it is pretty cool. This is kind of like the ultimate race game. And when this was the sponsor, I thought, we have to talk more about race games. But in this game, if you are in a race game where you could think of it as anywhere from 8 to 16 cars that you are trying to get across the finish line. Because here's the situation. In this beautiful tropical paradise, a mysterious fog has descended. And if people go into the fog, they never come out. So all the people are frantically trying to get on the boats, and not everybody is going to make it out of here alive. Each player, is a certain color. Although if you play two players, you control two colors. So in this game, I am the pink and the yellow player, as an example. And so as part of setup, you lay all the characters out, and then players do a draft, figuring out which are going to be them. So there's a yellow one, there's a blue one. We're about halfway through a game right now because it takes a little bit before the fog gets up and going, and I wanted to show you the game full on in action. So we are at a state where the fog is just about to move. But the pink player, who is stuck down here at the bottom, 3 of the fleeing people that belong to the pink player are about to get consumed by the fog. And the pink player has already lost one from a previous round. So pink has to get these moving. And so on your turn, you have 7 action points you can spend to do a bunch of different actions that cost anywhere from 1 to 4 points. And so what pink might decide to do right now to try to save as many of these people as possible, well, first of all, they could spend, 3 actions, I think. Is it right? To do the shove? Right. Yes, it's this one right here. 3 actions. So we spend 1, 2, 3. And this pink person who's about to get consumed will shove into the place of this one that belongs to another player. And so now this one is in danger of getting gobbled up. So there went a few of my points. Now, pink still has 2 more who are about to die. This person, though, happens to be an expert at, this is the push action. I just did the swap action. This is the push action where they don't swap positions. They just push people forward. They can push up to 2. And because they're an expert at it, they only have to spend 2 action points instead of the regular 3. So I'll spend 2 more, 1, 2, and this one will move forward and push both of these up as well, thereby saving another one of the buddies who just got out of the line of fire, and they're getting closer to the boats. But in doing this, I'm also helping the blue player as well. So the blue players, hey, thanks for giving me a little push as well, because now I'm 1 step closer. And then I've got 2 more actions, and my last person here, there's nothing they could do. They are actually an expert at hopping over stuff, but the best they could do is hop over here. They're still going to get eaten. So I think we're going to have to say goodbye to them, because there's all these obstacles all over the board. If I had enough resources, you can actually travel over the obstacles, but I'm out of time. So I might as well start thinking about what do I want to do in the future. Let's see here. So, well, it's the pink player right now. This one can't go any farther forward. I have 2 actions. This person gives me a +1 action that I can do afterwards. Oh, but I do not like this layout. I can't save this person. These people are kind of stuck because I don't have enough actions. I would need, 4 actions to be able to jump over here and then, scramble over the rock. So I think I'll spend 1 and have this one take a little step. And unfortunately, I'm kind of wasting their power of, hey, after I'm done, I get 1 more move. But they can't go anywhere. They would need to be able to do a swap or a hop or something like that. So, unfortunately, I wasted 1 of my 7 actions, but I did save 2 of my 3 people, and I saved 1 of Blue's as well. And then the timer moves on, and the fog comes up. So these 2 are Gonzville. And now, once again, Pink is in trouble. But the fog isn't going to come for a while. So the fog kind of moves and fits in spurts. So you usually get a couple of turns to be able to try to manipulate things. Now, at the beginning of the game, everybody who was on the beach, you can see this is all emptied out, but at the beginning, this was all full as everybody was frantically getting onto the boats. But now that we took care of them, all these poor people who were left behind are now trying to avoid getting eaten. And the interesting thing is, every time you set this game up, there are different values. There's different colored characters who want to get on the right color boat to give you bonus points. But as part of setup, taking these last spaces isn't worth much. Taking the first space is much. You want to be in the middle spaces because they're worth 6 points. But the middle spaces could have been worth only 2 points. So trying to figure out when you get your people out onto the docks and onto the boats is going to be different from game to game, trying to grab different spaces. And using all of these different powers and the special powers of your individual characters to get as many people to safety before the fog eats them all. And I love the build-up for this because the fog actually has these little legs, so they just smoothly just consumes everything, and it's just kind of like a mower mowing everybody down. This would be a very bad result for everybody. A lot of points lost here. But it's incredibly thematic, incredibly tense, really sharp, and there's an alternate way to play. It comes with a couple of sand timers. So if you play with players who suffer from analysis paralysis, because this game can get really crunchy, much more than a regular race game, then you can introduce a timer which only accentuates the panic and fear you should feel when you face the fog as you try to escape from paradise.
Oh, that looks like so much fun. I love that you can do the real-time thing because that really does. I mean, that is right there. That's a movie right there.
Yep.
The fog is coming. We've got a few minutes. Let's get out of here.
Exactly.
Looks so awesome. That is really so cool. Love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, so that is one race game, folks. But since it isn't actually out, we're going to leave it off our list of our 10 favorite race games, right? When I talked with Ruel about it, I said, hey, the main thing is make sure that somewhere on the board there is a finish line. And you have to move your character across the finish line. Because, of course, there's lots of Euro-style games that I love that are races to, hey, first player to score 20 points. That's a race. But that's kind of not within the spirit of this. This is actually, you've got things on the board that are that the game will be over once you cross a finish line. So we're going to talk about the 10 best of all time. Does that sound about right?
That sounds perfect. And I'm so excited about this. I love the race element mechanism in a lot of different games. But the fact that you specifically said we want a finish line on board, that's when things change for me. That we're gonna see what we came up with, folks, here in just a few minutes.
Yep.
But I'm excited to see what you've got because I know mine are pretty. I mean, I love the ones I picked are some of my favorites of all time. So
yep. Well, before we get to that. The fog, unfortunately, cannot make it on this list because it hasn't come out yet. But folks, since you're watching the show, one of you lucky viewers is going to be able to win a copy of the fog, which is already successfully funded on Kickstarter. Ruel, how do they win?
Folks, what you're going to do is watch the show today and listen for the magic word, the secret word. The word is going to be shoes, like the shoes that you put on your feet.
Yep.
One of us, Richard or myself, will be saying it sometime during the show. And what you're going to do in an email is not type in the secret word shoes. You're going to type the name of the game that we're talking about at that specific moment and send it in an email to contest@rahdo.com, and that'll get you entered into a contest to win your very own copy of The Fog.
Escape from Paradise, and then you can try to race to safety.
Yes.
But while we're waiting for it to come out, we've got 10 more race games to talk about. Starting with number 10, Ruel, what do you like?
Okay, so yeah, this is actually tougher for me to compile than I thought. But starting number 10 off with a bang, Long Shot, the dice game. So there was a game, originally the original Long Shot was a board game, but they came out with a dice version of it last year. As you can see, Michelle and I, we did a paid preview of it on our Twitch channel. We played it live. It's a roll and write game, and it's one of the best roll and write games out there, friends. Mm-hmm. It captures the spirit of horse racing. You're going to roll dice. One die is for the horse, and then another one is you're going to give you options to do. And this is what I really like about this. It's not just a straight racing game, not just a straight betting game. You can manipulate the horses how you want, and then you can bet on who you think is going to win. Oh. But you're also going to be collecting different concessions. You can buy horses to add to your stable, and Bottom line is you have to get across the runway or the finish line there first, or you're going to bet, or the top three horses, like any good horse racing game, will pay out, and then the most money wins. But it's until the first horse crosses that line, that's when the game is going to end. And you start tallying up. I really enjoyed this so much. Michelle and I, we kept the prototype. We asked to keep the prototype, and we still play it. And and I saw this recently, Richard. This is so surprising me, and I love seeing this. I actually saw this game at a Barnes & Noble recently. So, Long Shot the Dice game, the company's name is slipping my mind right now, but they worked with Barnes & Noble, got their game in Barnes & Noble, and I'm so happy for them because more people should be playing it. It's a fun roll and write game. It only plays in about 30 minutes, so it does capture that, fast-paced nature of a good race game, and that is Long Shot the Dice game, our number 10.
I have not played it, but I have heard nothing but raves about it. Ever since it came out, I think last year, if I recall correctly. And really sharp roll and write with so much depth and replayability. It's I have to admit, I have zero interest in the subject matter personally, but this is definitely on my list of, hey, if I'm at a convention, I want to see if I can get a game of this played, because I've just heard nothing but how amazing it is. Yeah.
And the another fun thing about it, it has a solo mode, and it's a good solo game as well.
Okay.
Yes. So, check it out. That's our number 10, Long Shot the Dice game.
Very, very cool.
Okay.
Well,
I'm so excited to hear what you've got on your side of the list. Let's see what we got here.
F1 car. No. I have to admit, the interesting thing for me about this list is I'm really not a car guy. I never really have been a car guy. My list is almost completely and totally free of automobiles, but there will make one surprise appearance. So my games are going to be a bit more non-traditional, starting with number 9 on the list, K2.
Oh, nice.
Yes, this is a race. Make no mistake. Each player controls 2 climbing teams trying to make it to the top of K2, or different mountains if you've gotten any of the various expansions that have come out over the years. And it is a very smart and fast-playing hand management game, because you have a bunch of cards that you can play either to move or to conserve your oxygen, because the higher you go, the tougher it is to breathe. You also have the ability to make base camps along the way, because the weather is constantly changing. You can see what the weather is going to be like for the next several rounds, and you need to be thinking, right, okay, with the hand cards I got now, I can make it to 7,000 feet. But in 2 rounds, I will freeze to death because I won't necessarily have enough time to build a base camp there. So do I hold back and try to time it so I can just skip from 7,000 to 8,000 after the cold front passes, and then make my desperate last pitch effort to get to the top of the mountain and survive and not die. So it is an incredibly thematic game, really sharp. The expansions that have come out for it over the years have added a lot of interesting twists and whatnot, but it's something that both Jen and I have always been huge fans of. Number 9, K2.
Yeah, I saw this on the list. I have not actually played this, but I've heard a lot of good things about this from my friends over the years. And great choice. I didn't even think about it as a race game, but you were absolutely
totally.
correct.
It is 100%.
Totally a race game. Okay, so let's move on to our number 8, and let me make sure I have it here. My number 8, our number 8 on the list is we have to put a car racing game on here. It just wouldn't be right without it. So our number 8 is Downforce. This is I consider this a modern classic because this is a re-implementation of a game called, I believe, Top Force was the original.
Top Race, apparently, was the original that Restoration Games restored and gave a new name to Downforce. Yes.
Yeah, and if you know Restoration Games, folks, you know that they take games that have been around for a while and update them for modern times, and this is a good one. We're big fans of this one in my gaming group, Downforce. It's a hand management game. You are betting on race cars, and you're trying to find or manage them to get across the finish line first. The first place, you're going to win money. And you go through, there's 3 different spots on here. Each line that you cross, you're going to make bets on who you think you're going to win.
Okay, so, another betting game. All right.
Another betting game, and you may see a pattern here in the games that I chose, folks, betting and racing. And what you do, it's really interesting. This game starts with an auction. You're going to auction off the cars and their special abilities.
Okay.
And then when you get those cars, you don't have to necessarily bet on your own. You can bet on other people's. So you can almost like sabotage yourself and get other players' cars to go in front because of the cards in your hand. Like, say for instance, I get stuck with the green car, and I don't have any or a lot of good green card cards in my hand. I can manage it so I can get the blue car to go, run away with the race, or I can
Okay.
try. And so I can hedge my bets by placing bets on the blue car. So it's a really fascinating game of hand management. It's really easy to get to the table with new players. It probably plays about 30 to 45 minutes, and as you can see there, the components are really fantastic. Again, Restoration Games, they always do a great job with all their games. Downforce, it's a classic, it's a modern classic, and that's why it's our number 8 race game.
Okay, great. And thank you, Board Game Geek, for supplying that game preview from Gen Con 50 in 2017.
Oh, wow, 2017, It's been a while.
Sounds right. So that's 2 games so far from your side of the R&R that are all about betting on the outcome as well. I suspect I might be able to guess some that are coming. We will see. Because again, folks, neither Ruel or I have any idea what the other person has come up with. He's got 5, I've got 5. A friend has made sure we have no overlaps. But let's move on now from, what was that? That was number 8 to number 7. Another oddball one for me. It is Cosmic Run Rapid Fire, which is interesting. This is our second Roll and Write on the list today.
Yeah.
And actually, Cosmic Run from designer Steve Finn and co-designer Steve Finn's son. This is actually a game that his son had the idea for, and Steve says, that's really great. Hey, let's father and son make this together. That was the original Cosmic Run, and it proved to be so popular, Steve did several spin-offs. And I played all of them, and I think Rapid Fire is my favorite, in part because it's a Roll and Write. A Roll and Write race game. Basically, the situation is, there are 3 planets, and we are racing to try to reach them as fast as possible, because whoever gets there first gets the big points, gets to colonize. But we're doing it in this game via dice drafting. Every round, a bunch of dice are rolled that will let you either maneuver around, the asteroids and whatnot that are on the track that are preventing you from getting to the planet, or will let you activate special powers like change the way you move, or all kinds of interesting stuff. And every round, at the beginning of the round, dice are going to be rolled that add more obstacles to the board. So this is a racetrack that is dynamically changing and evolving as you play. And it's a race game where you are engaged, each player is engaged in 3 simultaneous races. You know what? There's no way I can win that 3rd race to the green planet. I'm really going to focus like a laser on trying to make it first to the blue planet. So there's a lot going on in a very fun, fast-playing little Roll and Write, which, like you, Ruel, I love Roll and Writes. All of the Cosmic Run series have been absolutely exemplary. They all have this core idea of, hey, there's multiple planets, everybody's racing to, the first player to gets there gets the lion's share of the points, the first player to cross that finish line. And it's just the Rapid Fire is my personal favorite. So it comes in at number 7 on the list.
Oh, yeah. I cannot wait to play this one. I actually was trying to get a copy of this earlier this year, in fact, but at the time it was out of print. But I believe they've done a new print run, so it should be available now.
Okay.
But yeah, I am a huge fan of Steve Finn games as well, so I cannot wait to take a shot at Cosmic Run Rapid Fire.
Okay.
All right. Hey, we're going to get to our number 6 right now. Let me get up on screen, and I mean, it's not a car racing game, but it does have some form of transportation. It is one of my favorites of all time, Flamme Rouge. Flamme Rouge.
Sure.
This is, yes, a bicycle racing game. Just think of the Tour de France, folks, and that's what you have in Flamme Rouge. It's a wonderful game of hand management. You have a team of bicyclists that you're going to be racing around the track. You can see there, you can manipulate the track. There's a lot of variability in this. You can set up different ways to set up different tracks that have mountains or hills or whatnot. And what you're doing, you're just playing cards out of your hand. You're playing, this for one of each of your bicyclists. And what you can do is you can draft off of other players, just follow them and, sort of tag along, drafting in real life and drafting in a race. And you're eventually going to start running out of steam, because at the end, you're trying to hold those big cards for the end. But sometimes you just have to, do them, wherever you can to take the lead and shoot on out and try to win the race. It really, for me, it captures the feeling of a sprint really well, because you're not going around the track a bunch of times. You're just going around once and trying to win the race by playing your cards in the right order. And I love this game. It can play I think 2 to 4 players in the base game, but there's a couple of expansions that add different elements, and they also add different additional teams. So I think you can play it up to like 6, 7, or even 8. I'm not sure, but check out those expansions as well. This is a classic, and we love it in my house, and hopefully yours. It's our number 6, Flamme Rouge.
Yeah, it is absolutely brilliant. And it's not something you see often. Represented in race games. The idea of exhaustion. Yep. Right?
Yes.
And,
yes.
And it was so thematic, and it's so much about, oh, you moved into that spot. I means I can move behind you and, as you said, draft off you. I mean, I've seen drafting in some games, but not as many as you would expect, since it is such a hugely important element of racing in general. And, This one is very well loved, so easy to teach and play. Really good choice.
Yeah,
definitely.
Fantastic game.
Okay.
All right.
But
cool.
I've got an even better one for you, Ruel. Number 5 is Luxor.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Do you know Luxor?
I do not, but I think I know why you picked it.
Well, here's the deal. This is a game where we're Indiana Jones type, Tomb Raider-y type folks trying to rush to the center of a tomb. And each player has, over the course of the game, you can get multiple members of your race team moving, or you could just try to focus like a laser to just get one of them as far as you can, or get multiples into different spots. But what really attracts me to the game, the race is interesting. There's all these different treasures you can get along the way, so you're always trying to figure out the right card to play on the right team member to land on the right treasure, because there's a lot of set collection. There's big rewards for crossing the finish line first, but there's a lot of other stuff going on too, depending on what you can find. The way this works, though, is everybody has a hand of cards. And what happens is, on your turn, you have to pick, if you imagine holding cards in your hand, fanned out, you can pick the card all the way to the left or the card all the way to the right. You can only pick those. And in addition, every turn you will draw a card and put it in the center of your hand. So that perfect 5, I can't wait to play that, but I have to wait until that works its way out to the outer edge of my hand, because I can only play the one that's the furthest left or furthest right. And that is such a simple and elegant and wonderful puzzle. It kind of harkens back to the Bonanza type thing of, and I know this drives you nuts sometimes, Ruel, that hey, once you got your hand of cards, you can't rearrange them. Because the order they're in, although there are even tricks to let you rearrange your cards if you need to get to a card faster. It's fun, it's fast, it's a family weight game, although the expansion did add a bunch more stuff to make it a bit more crunchy. Really sharp, and what really made me fall in love with it was the absolutely brilliant hand management system, unlike anything I'd ever seen before, that's just so immediately simple and easy to grok, but really surprisingly deep. And that's why it comes in at number 5, Luxor.
Yeah, Luxor. I have not played it yet, but again, I see the name Rudiger Dorn. I'm excited. I need to play this one. And yeah, even though that the whole hand management thing does drive me a little crazy, the Bonanza style, I like the fact that you have ways to mitigate that. And it's like, okay, you can do certain things to move them. So
and anytime you have 2 cards to choose from. You've got the front one or the back one. That should be enough.
That's cool.
Somehow it's never quite right. You always want the one that's just one over. And and again, the planning of, okay, this person, I'll move you here because next turn when I get that you're the one I want to move over there. Just great stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great call. Okay. Right. So from one of our favorite designers to yet another favorite designer. Actually, we'd talked about this many times before on the show. One of my favorite designers of all time, if not my favorite, the good doctor, Reiner Knizia. This is our number 4, The Quest for El Dorado.
Okay, yep. Yeah. I knew that was coming.
An amazing race game. What the good doctor did, folks, is he took deck building and combined it with a race game and mashed it up, and we have The Quest for El Dorado. We were just talking about the Indiana Jones style game. This is another one. We are racing to get out of here because we have, got this the statue, which in my mind, I like to think we're bringing it back to the people that
that's a nice rewrite. I like it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Instead of, it does not belong in a museum. It belongs with the people that it originated with. So what you're doing is this standard deck building. You have your starting cards and you play them for movement. And what you're going to do is eventually add new cards that give you better movement and give you currency as well to get those better cards. And I think what's really neat about this game is, in Dominion or other games where you have like a big market of cards, this actually limits it. It has like a small market of cards. Yeah. And then as you buy them, they unlock other markets that you can bring in. So the cards, it depends on what you play and what you take. There's going to open up what cards are available. And it's a race game. You're controlling two little adventurers and you want to get them to the end there are different terrains that you'll be passing by. The expansions, they add other things as well that you can go and grab, different treasures and whatnot. We've liked them all. It's a huge favorite with my gaming group and my family as well. It's a family weight game, but it has enough that veteran gamers will enjoy it as well. I mean, everything about this game I love. It's racing, it's deck building, it's the good doctor. That's why it's our number 4, folks, The Quest for El Dorado.
Cannot argue with that at all. Yeah. And with that, I believe good. I know what your final one is going to be. I'm pretty sure.
I think you have a good idea.
I think so. Yeah. I believe the designer is known to go by their initial, perhaps. But we'll get to that in a second. That'll be number 2, because right now we have to talk about number 3 on the list. And, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't put this one up. Hold on a second. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'll show this one. Number 3 on the list, Ruel and audience, is Clank.
Oh.
Now, let me ask you, did you consider Clank?
I did not.
You totally should.
On the list, it totally makes sense.
It's a race day. It's a racing deck builder game.
Yes.
The finish line is where you start, because the whole point of this game is, hey, we're basically gonna go dungeon delving, and we start and we build our deck, and that represents what our explorer, our adventurer can do, and we just try to go as deep into the dungeon or the cave or the tomb or whatever it is that we're raiding, and get the best, most valuable artifact we can, and then race back to the surface. And the first player to do that, basically cross the finish line, creates a countdown for everybody else. Because as we're racing around the world, and by the way, I'm showing Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated, which is my favorite version of Clank. Although, don't worry, there's no spoilers here. This is the first game, which my wife and I live streamed many years ago. It's just my favorite version. I figured I'd throw that on the screen. The interesting thing is, as you're going along, a lot of the most powerful cards you can play to move forward make noise. And that's called making clank. And you start collecting these cubes on the clankometer. And every once in a while, a card will come out that says, hey, take all those clank, all that noise you made, throw it into a bag, and then start throwing cubes out of the bag. Because that means if my cubes are pulled out, I've drawn the attention of the local dragon who is not happy that we are here, and I end up suffering damage. So this is a game of high risk reward from start to finish. Do I just try to be slow and sneaky and quiet and just get the artifact I can? Do I say to heck with it, I'm just going to grab the first artifact I can and just get out really quick and then force all my opponents into a really tough bind because they were deeper? Will they be able to make it out in time before they make too much noise and the dragon gets them? It's absolutely brilliant, incredibly popular, has spawned so many spin-offs like the Legacy one, like Clank in Space, like the upcoming Clank Catacombs as well, which I believe you're going to be covering pretty soon for the channel. I know you're very excited about that.
Super excited.
And yeah, it is absolutely such a brilliant, simple idea, like Quest for El Dorado, mashing racing mechanisms with deck building to make a really wonderful game experience. That is number 3, Clank.
I love this choice. I did not even consider it, but you are so right. It is a race back to the top because you don't want to get stuck in that, dungeon and lose points or, even just score 0 if you don't, totally make it out.
There is a finish line on the board.
Yeah, there it is. Great call. Nice. I didn't even think about that. Okay. So let's move on to our number 2. You've alluded to it. I believe it's no secret as to what I love. My personal number one is Cubitos by John D. Clare, AEG. An awesome game. This is I've been describing it as Quacks of Quedlinburg in the dice game, and there's a lot of similarities, but there is, as you can see there is a finish line on the board. You're trying to race around there, and you are these strange little cube or cheese cubes out of the whole world.
We are the Cubitos.
You're a Cubitos, right? So the little cubes, it looks like SpongeBob SquarePants. It's like, got the little yellow cheese with skinny legs and, shoes. And you're running around there. And what you're doing is rolling dice. And this is what I love about this. I love rolling dice. I love push your luck. I love bag building. This is what it's all about. You're trying to unlock those better dice by spending currency and putting those in your bag. And then you want to pull those out to roll them and to get better movement and better currency and make it fast, to be the fastest around the track, folks. Oh my gosh, everything about this game I love. I thought it was easy to learn and teach, and Michelle and I loved it from day one. The only thing I didn't love, I'm going to nitpick a little bit, those little boxes that you put the little dice in. I mean, Not a fan.
Really?
I don't know why.
I'm a huge fan of that packaging.
Really, I didn't like those. I don't. They were like for me they were like sort of weird to put together. Yeah, there they are right there.
They are weird to put together, yes. And I have a few that are a bit not as structurally sound. The first ones I put together, don't hold up as well as the final ones I put together.
Yeah, one of mine has a tear in it. I think I put some a piece of tape on there, but that's a very minor nitpick. This game is so smart and so good, and you have the different dice, and the thing is, all the different dice, they have the cards there that tell you what they do. Now, it's not just that setup, folks. There are multiple cards, so each die can have multiple effects and a ton of replayability. There's that one track there. There's actually 4 tracks. They're double-sided. 2 tracks are included. Oh my gosh, I love this game. It's a fantastic racing game. That's why it's our number 2 racing game of all time, Cubitos.
I completely agree with that, and a huge doffing of the cap to John D. Clare. But also, credit where credit is due. This is a remake of an earlier game that came out called Automobiles from David Short, if I recall correctly, I believe.
Yep.
And that had
also another AEG game.
Yep. Which had the idea of every time you play, a different set of cards determines what the cubes are. But they were cubes instead of dice. Basically everything that Automobiles was, and Automobiles was fantastic, is just taken to the next level with Cubitos. And honestly, that would have been on my list. The only reason you talked about it is because you rated it even higher than me. I think it would have been my number 2, but it was your number 1, which is why you're the one who talked about it. That's how we adjudicate stuff before we go. If we have overlaps, whoever liked it more is the one who ends up talking about it. And I suspected it was coming, and I was not disappointed with number 2.
You know me so well, my friend.
And now I'm going to be a total jerk and talk about number 1 on the list, which sadly is a game that only got a very, very limited release and is very hard to get right now, but I am hoping against hope, particularly because I only got to play a prototype of this, and I never got a final version of number 1 on the list, Bad Company, until the day I die. This game is freaking fantastic. It is a race game, because we control it's a heist crew, an Ocean 11 type crew. Actually, there's in my run through of it, there's the Sneaky 11 I was controlling. And the thing is, we are literally racing down a road in our getaway vehicle to try to get out of town. Past the red, that is the finish line. When somebody makes it all the way to the end, that's what triggers the end of the game. Although it's possible the game could end earlier if people can do enough heists on the way out without getting caught by the cops. This is a race game where, like the Need for Speed franchise on video games, the cops are actually chasing us too, and we're trying to beat each other, but also stay one step ahead of the cops. Because hey, you don't have to be faster than the cops; you just have to be faster than the slowest person, so somebody else gets caught by the cops. And the entire gameplay mechanism here is the what do you call it? The Catan or the Machikoro approach, where everybody has a group. Every one of your member of your crew has a number on it, and every round dice are going to be rolled that everybody gets to activate the numbers that pop up, like Machikoro or Card Kings of Valeria or Space Base or Settlers of Catan or just Catan. And I gotta say, there are a lot of games that have come out over the years using this mechanism. My Farm Shop is another one. I think this is the best it has ever been done. It has more interesting stuff going on with the dice and the choices you make when it's not your turn. Everything about this game is fantastic, including the race elements, because that could be your main strategy. Okay, I'm not caring as much about the heist. I'm just trying to get out as fast as I can to cross that finish line and score bonus points that way, or I will go slow down, but then I run the risk of being arrested. It fits the bill. It is a card that can get across the finish line, and that can trigger the end of the game. So I say it is a race game. Just sadly, one that only got an incredibly small print run, and I'm still hoping that it'll get a second printing so I can get a copy of it as well, because I had to send my prototype on to the next reviewer after I was done filming it. Jen and I were both really blown away by this, which is why it comes in as the number 1 race game of the R&R show, folks. Bad Company.
Wow, yeah, and again, something that wasn't on my radar, but I remember when you did the video and you were really hyped about this, and I do hope that there's another edition, because I want to check this out now too after you're raving about stuff. All right, cool.
All right, well, cool. Folks, that is it. The top 10. And let me ask you, did you hear me or Ruel say the secret word? Did one of us mention shoes at any given time? If so, you know what to do. Send an email to contest@rahdo.com, and the subject of that email, the game that we were talking about when the word was said, make that your subject, so it'll go through my filters, and you will be entered to win a copy of this excellent race game right here, The Fog Escape from Paradise. And I think that's it, Ruel.
Yeah, that's all we got. We are done. And folks, again, thank you for joining us here at the R&R Show. This has been a bonus episode. We usually do this once a month, but thanks to our sponsors and everyone else, we get to do extra episodes for y'all, and we love doing it.
Yep,
Thank you
and
so
one
much.
of you will win this. And by the way, folks, we're not done. This was just the main show. If you want to check out the extended edition of this show, where we talked about a whole bunch of other stuff, you can hit that I in the top right corner screen or follow the links down in the show notes, because we're about to continue with the extended show and talk about the next 10. The 5 that could have made my list, that could have made Ruel's. And so we've got even more race games to talk about if you want to join us over in the extended. But otherwise, as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much. I'm just looking at a blank wall, but hopefully I'm looking in Ruel's direction. Thank you, buddy. And thank you once again to the sponsor of the show, The Fog Escape from Paradise, on Kickstarter now. Have a nice day, everybody. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.